All right. What's up, Stream Yard? You're going live with you all first. We also have people on YouTube. Shout out to the Pills Nation. We just coined it right now, live in living color on YouTube. We got Instagram, IG, Invent George, maybe, redefining. Shout out to y'all. And for everyone watching, welcome to the inaugural the Pills Showcase coming to you live. I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana. For those of you who don't know me or can't read the bottom, my name is George Opaman. K is silent though when we're in America, so it's Opaman. I'm blessed to be a PharmD MBA and blessed today to officially take the mantle as the third Pills president and CEO. It's very, very, very emotional as we're thinking about the time that me and my three co-founders put together over 9 years ago. Big shout out to our original founder, Dr. Brian Sackey. For our members, we had a members only conversation yesterday where he shared the vision of Pills, the vision of bringing people together, the vision of going global, and the vision of why we're here today. And that's why the underscore and undercard of why we're here today is the value of vision. I thought it would be apropos to not talk about myself yet, because we will learn a little bit more about me, but to learn more about, ironically, a brother that I've been able to see and watch his vision grow. We've connected almost a decade ago in person, ironically at Pills' first live session at APHA or ASHP mid-year. And knowing of him before I knew about him, it was amazing that we shook hands and like most alpha dogs do, yeah, I'll catch up with you. And it literally took 2 to 3 years. We texted, but we never really caught up until we were in the same ecosystem, same proximity. And I remember when he was telling me about the vision that has now grown to what he's leading now. And he told me, yeah, just pop up to one of our events in New York. And I remember walking in and him having a team get him. I just told him I was coming. He had a team that already had my name. I walked in, there were vendors outside, and it was in New York by chance, New York, the place where you can't get any attention. And he had over 1,000 Black people, doctors, lawyers, engineers, with their own tables talking about their own organizations for 2 hours. And then after that, we partied until the end of the night. And when I saw that and saw, hey, he wanted to expand this and take it more globally, which he literally did, I was excited to, in my job at Eli Lilly, be able to be a sponsor and advocate for him. And so with that, I wanted to bring up my brother, my alpha brother, my Kappa Psi brother, my founder brother, Dr. Douglas Charles, the founder of Black Health Connect. And everyone knows I'm very, very intentional on what I wear on my lapel.
Look at that. I didn't even see that. Look at that.
I'm wearing the Black Health Connect on Pills Day. I'm wearing the Black Health Connect pin to show love and send love to you. And I'm wearing it all week, actually. I appreciate what you're doing, how you move.
Hold on. Let me get got the, it's the old school one. Hold on. Can you see it?
I can see. Oh, he got the old school Pills. That's the one I was gonna wear. I was gonna wear that. See?
There we go.
In live and living color, we see the energy that we have. The one last thing I'll say before I allow him to speak is, when I told him about this, he was like, of course, sure. But he said, he literally called me. And Duke, if you know Duke, you either got to catch him in person or text. And he's going to text you back at least 3 weeks later. But he's going to text you back. And so he called me. He doesn't really, we talk only on Zoom. We rarely talk on the phone, either Zoom or in person. And he said, hey, bro, I'm going to do it, but I got date night tonight. So I got to go first. And I only got 30 minutes. And I say that because as a married a year before me, as a married man now, I understand why and how he did that. But it's also very important to me because I probably wouldn't be doing that for BAC on date night. So I appreciate you for carving out 30 minutes for us. And for those of you that don't know you, can you tell us about you? How did you get here? Why are you here? Just vibing right now.
No, for sure, man. Well, first of all, congratulations on this new position, on this new role. Super proud of Pills and see where it started. Yeah, we met 10 years ago. but definitely connected to most of the Pills leadership. Dr. Onye was a resident while I was a student. I remember when Brian first brought up the idea when he was a student, because Brian's a year behind me in pharmacy school. So it's been amazing to see this organization progress and keep going, right? But who am I? So I'm Dr. Drew Glashaw. I'm a pharmacist from Brooklyn, New York. Howard University trained. So HU was going on. Howard University class of 2014. There we go. Yeah, there we go. HU. Yep. You know. Anyway, pharmacist by training, right? Like everybody on this call. Been a pharmacist for about 11 years. So I graduated class of 2014, moved back to New York, practicing pharmacy, done a little bit of community pharmacy, health system management, tech. And then for the last 7.5 years, I've been primarily in the medical cannabis space. So something very unique. Always had a love for natural medicine. So it was easy for me to jump over to that field in that lane. And then also just never been afraid to just carve out a path on my own. So it's not that many of us in the space. I thoroughly believe that cannabis-based medications that impact the endocannabinoid system are going to be the future of our healthcare practice once we get a bit more federal regulations around it. So, I just took it upon myself to jump into the space and get involved. So New York is one of the states that requires pharmacists to oversee medicinal cannabis. And most of the medical dispensaries in New York are structured as pharmacies. So there's always a pharmacist on site doing patient education, provider education, going over the endocannabinoid system, the science of cannabis as medicine, and also teaching patients and providers, because we don't learn about this in school, right? Why cannabis works and how it can work with the body, and then breaking down the pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics of the different dosage forms. So I've been doing that for the last 7.5 years. And also around the same time, started something called Black Health Connect. So for those who know me since pharmacy school, always loved hosting events, bringing people together. That was me on campus, just doing programming, student government, undergrad and in pharmacy school, doing the events for the fraternity, Kappa Psi, and for Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Just always loved bringing people together. And I was doing that in New York as well since I moved back. But it was just like living two separate worlds. Some people thought I was like a full-time event producer, just hosting parties for fun. And then, during my day job, nobody knew about any of that. And then one day I just said, how do I get to bring my two worlds together, right? So we hosted our first networking mixer in New York in February of 2018. Super gimmicky. It was just like, it's Black History Month. I'm in healthcare. Let's just do something for the Black folks in healthcare. There was like 75 people in the room at this super famous place at the time, but the 4040 Club in New York. But got so much positive feedback, which reminded me, one, that my Howard experience was a unique one. Howard produces the most Black doctors in the country. We have a pharmacy school, medical school, nursing program, PT program, PA program, dental school, law, MBA, everybody going to school, studying together, socializing together. So we built a really strong network, and I had friends who went to other institutions that, their educational career reflected what, the landscape looks like when we're in the workforce, right? Lack of diversity in healthcare. They were the one person in their pharmacy school that looked like them, or in their nursing program, or in the entire medical school, maybe, right? So having that space was very powerful for them, even though that space at the time was only 75 people. So then we started doing it quarterly, grew from that first event, about 75 folks, to the end of that first year, about 500. And then the next year we kept doing it quarterly, and kept growing and growing. And then we decided, hey, we're going to expand and start to travel. And we did New York, we did DC, and then COVID hit, right? So then now we're just doing all these virtual events, and people are popping up from places I had never even been physically before. Like I hadn't even been to Houston yet, and people were logging on from Houston, from LA. And that's why in 2021, we decided to take the show on the road. So since then, we've helped to bring together a community of a little bit over 35,000 at this point, across 26 cities in the U.S., and then expanded past the U.S. as well. So we have a community in Ghana, we have a community in Kenya, we have a community in London, in the UK, and the goal is to go wherever the diaspora is in healthcare, and to build true, strong, interpersonal, intergenerational interdisciplinary networks within healthcare, and the goal is to use that to really impact and change how health outcomes and health equity for our entire community. So that's a bit about me. I think it's a bit about Black Health Connect too. I don't know if I gave a little bit too much, George, in the first spiel, but yeah, man, thanks for having me, and super excited to be here.
Nah, bro, I got 15 minutes with you, so I wanted to make sure you hit all of those points and the things that I want to pull through, pause, and connect the dots. I've been learning that me and you, our energy is just authentic and electric, and we do capture it. But as both of us have been speaking a lot more, and as we are leading teams, I've understood the power of really slowing down, and making sure that people really take in the impact that we're both creating, but the impact that we're all creating together. And so the first string that I want to just make sure is highlighted is your experience at Howard. And I think that everyone hears and talks about Howard, and I'm an HBCU grad myself. We have other HBCU grads that are listening to us, and we have other grads taking away HBCUs. But to be in a space like a Howard that has so many different types of amazing people in business, in creativity, in media, but then to bring them together, a lot of them, when you go to class, they're in pharmacy school or dental school. And they are not just who they're studying to be. They're allowed to have an ecosystem where they're able to do something like what you did at night. Hey, you go to classes during the day, but you're using your creativity and marketing at night. And you didn't just do it with one organization, which you learned a lot about through Alpha. You did it with Kappa Psi, and then you went to do it yourself. Those are practices, and you didn't just start this like last year. You did this since you went through, by the way, a 0 to 6 program. So going through a traditional pharmacy program is already hard, but going through a 0 to 6, that's crazy. So it takes a certain level of vision to keep going through all of that, even through the failed test, even through the messed up places when 100 people showed up and you already paid for the club, even through going through trying to get your homies in when you can't get them in. That takes a lot of vision to do that. Then to keep going and to create or think about or see, hey, I want to create something that brings us together, and see the 75 people and knowing, like you and I, hey, that's not what we thought. At least we're going to get 100 at minimum. At minimum, we're going to get 100 and be like, yo, like it was a failure. But to actually go back and not look at the numbers, but hear the stories and hear how we've been having the vision of what we see. But there's a lot of people that have never even seen 75 people together, because you weren't just bringing together Howard people. You were bringing together people from other geographies. You were bringing together people who probably walked by each other all the time, but never sat down and had a conversation. To then say, I'm going to not stop doing that. I'm going to continue doing that, but I'm going to bring everybody together in DC. And I've had the privilege to be on both sides. To one, be on stage at your first ever 40/40. And that's something that's important to me, important to my co-founders, important to our community, that you're not just creating a space that you're putting on IG. You're actually bringing the 40. You give everybody each other's information. That's 40 under 40. You make sure they get into they have the all-star. There's VIP and there's 40/40. So they have the best experience at your conference. And then lastly, the fact that you create a platform, and I'm going to say you put your friends on, but it's different because your friends are people who everybody wants to be and have. And you're able to put them on a stage to share, and you're not even, you actually hate being on stage. You hate doing what we're doing right now. It's beautiful to see. And I want to make sure that people are understanding that, because you're not going to talk about yourself, just how powerful that is. I was at your first one as a 40 under 40, your second one as a sponsor on behalf of a Fortune 100 company, and your third one, it's my first sponsorship as acting CEO and president. And to be on that side and to be able to pour into you and have a table, and to see probably I've seen a lot of speeches, but here, like the greatest ever keynote I've ever experienced in my life, to be there and see it, and to see you in tears, to see him in tears, and to see a room full of high achievers in tears. That's powerful. That's just me and my vision and what I'm seeing. That's not saying what you see in terms of the 35,000 people. That's not what you're seeing in terms of not being able to pay for some of these conferences and doing them anyways, and then people pouring into it. That's also not being able to say what I've seen you do over and over again. We're talking about Black Health Connect, but it says find your community. I've seen you at every single other person's conference. You do that. You don't send your team. You do that. And to know that that's genuine, I want you to talk about the failure and the fear of the failures you've had, and you're still sitting here talking to us on somebody else's stage, about to go to date night in 10 minutes, and how you still have the vision to keep going.
No, man, I appreciate it. I think it's a lot of think leveraging the lessons we learn, right? All through pharmacy school is about discipline. Like you take an exam, you fail a quiz, you got to go back, study, go at it again, right? Yeah, you got, because at the end of the day, we're going to graduate, we're going to get it done. And I think it's the same applies here. Like you said, been doing this for a while, been hosting events for about 15 years since like freshman year on campus at Howard, always working on this, always having like this push pull of, wait, I think I want to do business. I want to do marketing. All right, I already started this pharmacy thing. I have to get it done. And always having to figure out the balance and then getting through as I'm working now in my career, still feeling like there's something else that I really want to do. Right. And then just really taking the leap to go do that. And having a community, like you said, around that is willing to pour into me. I think the failures, they're never really failures, right? It's just really just like either a diversion to another path or a direction, or just truly just a learning opportunity to get better. Like, what are the things that we need to make this space even bigger, right? Thinking about how do we not just impact the folks in front of us, but how are there other ways to impact the broader ecosystem, even from how the mixers have grown, right? We were doing it quarterly, just bringing together the broader community, marketing it. And then I was realizing during those first few mixers, like, hey, there's pharmacists here and they're asking me like, where do I meet more pharmacists? And I'm like, oh, you don't know about MPHA? Oh, right. Or, oh, how do I meet more nurses? Oh, you don't know about the Black Nurses Association? Oh, wait a second. So then it was like, all right, let me reach out to those different organizations, right? And how do we get them involved? Being able to get pills to come and table at events, right? So that people can learn more about these organizations. Like, how do we bring together the broader ecosystem? And it's the same thing. It's the same thing when we talk about Black Health Connect 40 under 40 and the conference. It's like we're building this community, we're building this platform, but the entire purpose of this is to better each other. So how do you, like you said, put your friends on? But it's like we have people who are doing amazing things in our network that people need to know about. So it's not even putting my friends on. It's like, these are the folks that inspire me to keep doing what I'm doing. How do I get the world to see their work and understand this is something that you can join, this is something that you can support, or this is just like a blueprint that you can follow in the things that you're doing. And it's been amazing to like lead with that, lead with community, lead with connection. Find your community is exactly what it is. Like, as I'm building this thing, I'm still finding my community. I'm meeting new leaders, new entrepreneurs, new people that help me further this idea that I'm trying to figure out. But then also the folks that get to come into this community get to find other pathways. You know, they'll come to the Black Health Connect mixer and then 2 months later be at a conference for their like specific pathway, right? And we're very intentional about how do we amplify the work that folks are doing. My screen is blurred, but I have like a Young Black Pharma Award right here, like another organization that you and I tend to support a lot, right? Their conference is coming up. We're going to be there. I was at the National Medical Association conference this summer, at the MPHA conference this summer, right? I think when Pills has, you know, their conference, we're definitely going to be there too. I heard something like that.
It might be in the same.
I don't know. But
never know.
we'll be there and we'll try and bring as much awareness to that as well. And because at the end of the day, as our different groups and communities get stronger, it's going to benefit this overall end goal. We're all in the field of healthcare to help others. We're all in the field of healthcare to better ourselves as a people. Like, we decided to go this professional route, do these things. So how do we create a space that uplifts everybody as we continue to do the things that we love to do? So just been very intentional about that, very intentional about collaboration, very intentional about, you know, shining a light on others that typically aren't seen. I think in general, healthcare professionals in general, it's not like this cool thing. Like, I think now you're seeing all the influencers in healthcare. People have these medical education pages, things of that nature, which I feel like is fairly new, but those aren't the people you typically think about a lot with having platforms, right? So for us to have that, how do we just amplify that? And then when you think about Black healthcare professionals on top of that, right? So it's like, we are typically overlooked. Like, I didn't see a healthcare 40 under 40. I don't think I've really seen that. Like, you see like a Becker's list, top administrators, things of that nature. But what we're creating, I think, is just needed. Folks need to see what they can do, what's possible, and also be willing to take a leap of faith. Like, all right, because same thing for me. Like, I have this license, I went to school, I got these student loans, And I'm like, I'm doing something different from what any of my professors told me to do, right? So, but we have to be willing to do that, especially if we want to continue to further our profession, our career, just taking the paths that most people don't take.
I love that, my man. And I'm gonna get you out on this. I don't want you to be late for date night. I'm also so proud of you being able to share a little bit of who you are, the impact you've had with Black Health Connect. You also shared a lot about how failures aren't failures to you. And I know there's this cliche about a lesson, but the so what in that is that you keep going and you kept going. And it's part of almost the process or the formula to success, because that's letting you know you're punching above your weight and you can't do it alone, and you need people to make it happen for you. So that's beautiful. The value of vision, as you see, and you touched on it a little bit, but as you see the next 5 years, I'll keep it at 5 because we're in 2025 now and going to 2030. And selfishly, I've committed to leading the organization for the next 5 years. And I say organization intentionally, as you'll learn more. Pill started as a one entity, and by 2030, we'll have 3. And so I'm leading that transition as we expand and have that expansion. As you see the next 5 years for Black Health Connect, as you see the next 5 years for Black healthcare professionals in general, and as you see the next 5 years for Pills, not just what do you see, what do you want to see? Because I do believe for people like you and I, sometimes we don't even know, but by putting it out there, someone's listening, God's listening, and they can and will make it happen. So as you think of the next 5 years, what do you want to happen?
Man, I think, especially for us I'll start with us as a community, is just like truly having stronger pathways of connectivity, right? We need our own channels of communication. We need our own platforms to connect. No pun intended, but like literally, digitally, physically. And how do we strengthen that? And then how do we strengthen that across like borders? Like the reason why we did the conference was first time we went to Ghana, we had healthcare professionals from all over the world, folks from the States, meeting folks from Europe, meeting folks from different countries in Africa. I'm like, wait a second, we just did this in 3 or 4 months, putting this together was an idea. But then in the States, it's like everybody's meeting city to city. And I'm like, all right, we're going to do a conference. We need to get everybody into one city to get to know one another. So like that's like that piece of it is super important. So for us, our goal is to be in at least 10 to 15 countries in Africa. Definitely in the next 5 years, I think we can do that. At least 5 to 10 countries in Europe. Got to get to the Caribbean. I'm of Haitian descent, so Caribbean is definitely happening as well. Canada, South Africa, again, wherever the diasporas, you want to be there. Our conference, definitely need that to expand too. So outside of the US, how do we get to BHCCon Europe, BHCCon Africa, right? And really create the same magic that we've been creating here in the States. I think that's going to take like true partnership, true sponsorship. That's going to require a lot of resources, and I think that it'll come when the time is right. And then I think for us as a community is like, how do we start shifting our mindset around like what healthcare looks like within our community? I think we truly have the capabilities to create our own systems. I think we're going to be forced to do so in the time being, but that's going to require, like, again, direct communication. Like, what does that look like? What does a Black health system look like? What does the foundation of a Black health system look like, right? And I don't want to say Black. I think it's just like an alternative health system. What does that look like, right? Outside of what we've been trained to follow, get into. And that'll probably come from somebody within our networks, right? We entrepreneurship is a major thing for both of us. I know there's ideas around how do we support different ventures, how do we support different entrepreneurs, but there's going to be people within the community building the thing that can really shift what healthcare looks like, and then how hopefully our platforms can be the gas that they need to really get going where they want to go, and that's the big thing, is like we could just be the catalyst, like building community, being the connector is just like being able to be the catalyst for change for somebody else's success. I think is the biggest blessing out of all of this, right? So I think we see it all the time. There's people who meet at the conference. It's like, oh, I got a job because I met this person, or I found a business partner here, or what have you, right? So I think all of those pieces are important, and I want to be able to continue to do that at scale in the next 5 years, right? With the team, with the right folks around, where I don't have to be at every mixer for real. Like I enjoy it. I love meeting new people, but it'll be, there's more that can be done if there's more people involved to be able to spread that work around.
I love it, man. Even though you didn't intentionally say it because I was listening for it, I'll answer my own question for you in terms of what I want to happen in the next 5 years. By next year, I would love for us to have an official something that we're doing, an official partnership. And I know we're in talks of making that happen. So I'm saying it on wax so that the ears that are listening can make it happen. Hopefully over the next couple of years, to your point, we figured out economically, on top of whatever we're doing in a year-by-year partnership, economically, how to bring our visions and resources together from a capital standpoint to truly impact our communities here and abroad. And then lastly, man, I hope in the next 5 years, as we have children, have families, that we've also figured out a way to, beyond our professions, personally have our respective families be able to enjoy our successes. I think both of us coming from first generation households, there's an accountability for us to make our parents proud. But we also want to be the people, as our children are watching us, they see our parents, i.e. us, enjoying and bringing people together and seeing other families doing the same. And so, Duke, I love you. I appreciate you. And it's not lost on me. I have this because I have a thing where I have all my stuff. You didn't know I was doing this, and you were able to get a vintage. There's only a certain amount of those, a vintage off of somewhere, which means you always holding pills dear.
I got this little shelf behind me with my awards and things I hold precious. It's always at arm's length. The Pills family has definitely been extremely supportive. So Dr. Saki gave me this one back in the gap, but thank you. So I appreciate it. But no, yeah, always there, always supportive. And again, it just talks about the power of community and what we can do when we come together. So really excited to see where you all go in the next 5 years. And we'll definitely be involved. We'll definitely be around. Yeah, man, thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to be here. Thank you for switching up the schedule so I can enjoy the evening and not get in too much trouble. But no, all jokes aside, super excited. So congratulations. I believe this is year 10.
Year 9. But
year 9.
I love
we're going into year 10. Exactly.
Year 10.
That's major. I mean, people start with an idea, a couple years in, it's not moving the way they like it to move. And then it's like, all right, put it to the wayside, especially with all the careers. You have entrepreneurs on your board and your leadership, professors, right? VPs of entire companies at high level companies. We said Fortune 100, and you're still able to keep this thing going. That's amazing, right? So that shouldn't be lost on anybody, the amount of work it takes to just keep an idea going, still adding value every year. And slow progress is progress nonetheless. And even when it feels slow, it's something. That's something I have to remind myself. And even to what you said a second ago, just being the people our parents should be proud of, we already are, right? It's all of this is extra, to be honest. To be a health professional in this country, in this system, to make it this far, we've done a great deal. So it only shows us wherever we want to go, we can keep going. So we shouldn't limit that either, man. So congratulations to the entire team. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Bro, thank you for kicking us off. From one Black founder to another, man. Enjoy the night, and we'll be in touch, my man.
All right, see you soon. All right, y'all.
Man, that was beautiful. That was wonderful. IG, let us know how you feeling. I can't see the comments, and I shouldn't, but put it on some post somewhere. Let us know how you feeling. YouTube, same thing. Shout out to Carson. She's the A1 Day One of our first ever Chiefs proteges. Always staying engaged. She was engaged at our members only last night. And what I'm now excited to do, and I can see the background. So Duke, again, thank you. For real, I love you. Feel free to stay as long as you can. But if you have to hop, feel free. We're going to be bringing up my two compadres, the person that literally cannot allow pills to run unless he's involved, Dr. Joshua Blackwell. Everyone knows him as Dr. JB. And then the one, the only, and as of today, this is new news. Josh hates when I do this, but I knew I was going to do it today. As of today, coming onto the board officially, she gave me a call this morning. She's going to be serving as our executive director of PILS. Dr. Onye Ononogbu. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
Josh, don't mind this man.
Oh, okay. I'm about to be like, okay.
Oh, he's true.
It's true. It is true. It happened. And it's real. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. But hello everyone.
Coming right off of that, and I love that. Honestly, that shows just how real we are. We're not an email generation. Actually don't even email as much anymore. It's text messages, phone calls, our new app. This is amazing. And I want to be clear, the genesis of our relationship is the fact that we've known each other as friends for almost 20 years. Each one of us, almost 20 years, if not more, have known each other as friends first. Then all three of us, serve nationally on the legacy organization, the Student National Pharmaceutical Association, SNAFA. Big shout out to SNAFA and NAFA. Without NAFA, there is no SNAFA. Without SNAFA, there is no NAFA. And I'm not saying started, I'm talking about continuing. And so we always pay homage Duke. We always like to say it this way, the legacy organization. And so we know PILS is standing literally on the shoulders of organizations that started before us, that have poured into things before us. We think right now is bad. Imagine being a Black healthcare professional in the 50s, the 60s, the 30s, the 20s. And so organizations like NAFA and now SNAFA, especially together, gave us the platform to be here. But with that, yesterday we started with our founder, Dr. Saki. It was an idea. It was something that he shared with Onye. It didn't go anywhere yet. He took it to Houston. And then after a church conversation, it's recorded on wax, him and Josh went to the church. So officially, Josh is first. But
I'm gonna let y'all have that story, but okay.
But it is true. He did share. It is true. He did share that he shared the concept with Ye first. So there's the who he shared it with first and who took action first. But all jokes aside, I did that on purpose because it's important to share. It's one thing to have vision. It's another thing to have a vision that someone is willing to be the first follower to take hands on. And so with that, I want to bring Josh, because this story has been told, but not really. I want to be able for you to share when you heard the vision. First, for those who don't know who you are, share a little bit about yourself. But end on when you heard about PILS and the vision from Brian, what did it mean to you, and why did you decide to go and take action? I mean, that's a big deal. You could have been doing anything else. Like, great, that's a great idea, my man. Let me know later. You didn't.
Yeah, it did start at church for me. It was after a church service. I was a resident at Baylor St. Luke's Medical Center, which Onye would later come in. You know, that happened. But he was a resident at the Houston VA, and after church, he was like, "Bro, I got something to tell you." I'm like, "What is it?" You know, and he said, "It's been on my heart. I got an organization that I've been brewing and, started at Howard, but I want to take it national and then global." He always wanted to take it global. So that has to happen in the next 5 years. I don't know how it's going to happen, but maybe with Black Health Connect partnership that's coming down the pipeline, it can happen. But he wanted to take it national. And I just ended my term as national president. I did my term as national president of SNAFA.
Of what? Oh, okay.
Of the Student National First. Yes. And that's a story right there, too, because let me tell you something. I did not want to be a national officer, and here we are today, years later, right? Based upon that conversation, we stood there for hours talking in the church parking lot. Then from the church parking lot, we went to his apartment, and that's when the first Articles of Incorporation and Bylaws was initiated. But we knew we couldn't do it alone, and that's when we brought the two of you, my amazing big brother and sister, on, even though Ye had the idea first. I will give her the flowers. I don't want that heat. Ye had the idea first. And so that's where it all started. And the reason why I joined was because at a time I was in transition. And normally when you're in transition, you're like, hey, my time has passed. It was a good run. I'm here to focus on other things that I want to do. So quick, we are so focused on ourselves. But I heard his heart. I saw clearly the need. I felt the need. I was a part of that need, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that at the time, and I wanted to do something that is bigger than me. I already did SNAFA, and I was like, I didn't want to do that, but then the Lord saw fit to open that door, and here's another one. When we had that conversation, I didn't know what we would be like today. I didn't know all the proteges and the lives that we touch. I didn't know how the impact of helping other individuals now resonates and stays with me, and it changed me, and it continues to change my heart. And so that is something that happened. So, like I said, I did my residency at the Houston program. Shout out to my shiro, Dr. W. Barkey. But I did my residency there in Houston, the Houston program, and then couldn't get a job in Houston, went to Hopkins, and definitely known as one of the clinical leaders, healthcare leaders, and really have invested in so many different leaders around the country, and so honored to do that. But I didn't do it on my own. I did it because I believed in the vision that God gave Brian to give to me to help cultivate, inspire, and brew. And you have to understand there's power in being number two. It's hard for me to recognize that sometimes. And sometimes you're like, why am I doing all this work? But you have to think about the vision that's bigger than you. And because that's what a vision is. If you can see it, if you can birth it yourself, that's not a vision. That's an idea. But a vision is something that has roots that you're going to have to be 10 toes down, and you have to birth into the world. And that birth has some pain. I know Ye can talk about it because she's a mother of 3. And so birthing has some pain. And that is something that we did. I'll never forget, y'all came to my apartment in Houston one day, and we all sitting down on the computer. Ye was our first secretary. She doesn't like saying that out loud, but Onye was the first secretary. And the Article of Incorporation, if you look them up, historical books, Onye was the first secretary. But then she said, oh no. And then we had to bring our big sis Martine on, who took it by storm as she did in SNAFA. And she still does to this day. Like we are the operators of pills. We were that dynamic duo. And Ye knew that. And she saw that and she said, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to let y'all handle that because I don't want to do it no more. So that's a little bit about me, how I came into pills, a little bit about the story. But yeah, it all started for me in the church parking lot of Higher Dimension in Houston.
No, I love that, Josh. And again, learning as a leader, as a speaker, as someone who's been in a lot of different arenas or areas, we take our greatness for granted. And so I want to make sure I slow down and truly highlight some of the things, not that you shared, but some of the stuff you didn't share. And so, again, being a national officer isn't easy by itself, just officer. It doesn't matter, president, regional, whatever, any organization. And so the fact that you even had the audacity to raise your hand in pharmacy school, which is hard enough, in a place like Ohio, which isn't known for having a lot of people that look like us, and say, hey, I want to lead an organization, and not just an organization, be a part of an organization that has over 5,000 members year over year, over 100 chapters year over year, that was founded in a time of transition of our United States of America, which seemingly feels the same around what's going on right now, to then find out that you ran for something as a vice president, which is very hard, by the way, but then the president, for reasons we won't worry about, can no longer serve, and you are now thrust into the president's seat, and to not run from it, but to take the leadership and successfully keep the vision of the president going, but also keep the vision of the organization going, to then hear someone else's vision. And as you mentioned, still have power. He shared it with other people before. He shared it with Duke before. He shared it with Ye before. And for whatever reason, it wasn't the right time of transition for them, but it was for you, to then use your skills and your gifts. Because again, they could have chose anybody, but you made sure my name was heard. You made sure Ye's name was heard. And together, collectively, we made sure Martine's name was heard. It's something that I don't want people to take for granted in terms of their position, their role in a vision, in the vision, and vision in general. And I want to make sure, again, as we are blessed to have the co-founders of this organization, I still want to give credit to all of the organizations that were before us and all the organizations that have been founded and will be continue to found after us. It's something that I want to be real, we talk about a lot, and that we're excited about all the organizations that are starting to come up. When we were coming up, we didn't have this. That's why we created it. And so for some reason, there's a reason why other people want to create, and we're excited in this next chapter. That's why we've evolved our name to actually be a platform and a pipeline and a pathway to do so. And so, Onye, as you think of that, and you think of you also coming off of national service, you hearing this concept before, and you knowing what it takes to lead at a national level, why did you decide to join? And then, as you know, why did you decide to keep going as you started to grow your family and be someone who was also growing, not just professionally, but personally, especially as a Black woman on a team of pretty much all males until we brought Martine on?
Yeah, we tell the story every year, clearly, because it's our birthday today. But I want people to understand that Pills was birthed because we all felt connected to the vision, right? So for me, the vision was to help people coming after us succeed. And I didn't have that. Me personally, like in pharmacy school, I didn't have not even a professor that I could like look to and say, okay, what's next? Like after pharmacy school, tell me about residency. No one knew the playbook. No one knew what to do. Actually, one of my good friends, I always give him credit. His name is Adebayo. Adebayo is the one who gave me like a timeline. He was like, listen, this is what you're going to do. You're going to, on this month, you're going to have your CV ready on this month. And that timeline was actually the first blueprint document that we used in Pills to kind of help our proteges. And so he helped me. And so when Brian brought this idea of what Pills could be to help, pharmacy students, fourth-year pharmacy students, progress and get postdoctoral opportunities, I was like, definitely, like, this is amazing. And so I joined because I wanted to make sure that, pharmacy students at the time, pharmacy students that were underrepresented were getting the help that they needed, because I wasn't getting the help that I needed, but I was having to fight and do it on my own. Over the years, we've seen so many students who have potential, but just didn't have the right tools. Like they needed a little bit of, adjusting. And for example, maybe they didn't know how to dress well, or maybe they didn't know how to interview well. And that's where we came in, and we really helped so many proteges like progress. I mean, seeing over the years how many proteges like and the places that they are right now is just amazing. And it's kind of emotional, to be honest. But I knew that I wanted to be a part of this. As Duclaw said, he was saying that when I was at Howard as a resident, they were students, and I remember coaching them and like, hey, do y'all have y'all CVs ready? They were all emailing me their CVs. Dr. Saki was emailing me his CV, and I think it was one of the reasons why he called me, when he graduated, and was like, hey, we want to take this to a different level. We want to make it national, global. And he remembered the investment that I was pouring into all these students. And so it was just something that I was so passionate about. George asked, why did I continue to go as my family started to grow? And it's funny because that was actually one of our challenges as we all started to evolve. I mean, we were all so passionate, right? We all were single, just coming out of pharmacy school or residency, on fire. We were like just little bunnies hopping around everywhere. That's not kind of wrong. Let me use a different.
I mean, we was single. We was
not like that. But we were going to conferences. We were going everywhere doing mixers, and we were so on fire, y'all. Like, and then we started to grow. Like, folks started getting married. Folks started having kids, and that was some of our challenges. We're kind of like, how do you balance now the same passion, because the passion's still there, but you also have passion now for these little babies and your spouse, and how do we continue the same passion at home and the same passion for the organization in which we love? And there were some challenges along the way, but we still, the fire is still there. As y'all can see, we're still here. And so we just had to navigate, and we had to, push through, and it's to see our fruits from this organization is the most important thing for me. Like when I see that, it's like, how can I stop? There's no way. We can't stop. We can't stop doing what we're doing. The fruits that have come from this organization is amazing, and it's powerful. And seeing all of the proteges and all the things they're doing in the world right now, it's a beautiful thing. I think we're literally an organization that single-handedly has put so many pharmacists in different industries, tech, uh,
NVIDIA.
right, Wall Street. I mean, so many areas where people are like, wait, pharmacists can work there or pharmacists can do that? Yeah. We're not stuck to just one industry. And I think that's one thing I love about Pills is that we kind of help pharmacists get into different industries, push them into think outside the box. And it's the thing I love about it. So, it's a beautiful journey that we've been on, and I can't wait to see, what happens in the future. So
First off, again, I haven't just really cast the vision of what we're doing today. It was an intentionally curated day, and for those that know me, they know that I always have audibles. So it's no surprise that this was supposed to be first, and reshuffle some things based off of family. But it's actually worked out to have someone who was at our very first live, if you want to call it, come out party, to then followed by our founders. And there was two words that you used that Onye has been for the last 2 to 3 years part of our board. And so she hasn't been hands-on in the organization. And it was very exciting to get the call today. And it's no jokes aside that she is going to be serving on the actual management team as executive director. She's laughing, but I'm just making sure that's clear based off the conversation.
no, I'm laughing because Josh is laughing.
I know. But all jokes aside, I mean, me and Josh were working on a lot of things today. Shout out to everyone that's listening. If you're a protege, your coaches' assignments have been sent out. So that was a very tedious thing, but we got it out today. So that's what we were working on. But anyways, bringing it back to make sure we're staying on track with my audibles. To be able to have you say two words that Josh knows, because he also, when he heard the words, I know he understood. We've been working on in the background on making sure we do have what we're going to be calling playbooks, Pills playbooks that are truly guides, that are truly things that share the blueprints of, first, holistically, a lot of our YouTubes that are still today, if you look at our Instagram, we're replaying things that are still significant to this day from some of the people that joined us in the beginning in terms of Raina and Yanni, resident and fellow. We're very big on bringing together the entire practice of healthcare on top of, so that's just part one foundation, on top of showing how those same professionals can take their skills, even if they're not practicing healthcare, into other industries because of how they've learned. And so the word playbooks is intentional because we're going to be showing and breaking down the 1, 2, 3 plays to be able to not just get in, but to be able to accelerate and succeed. But then part two is the fruits, because I think our fruits, which she also touched on, have come from challenge. Fruits, when you think of it, are because of something that has had to be planted, that has had to be pruned, that has had to be cultivated, that has had to go through adversity, that has had to make sure it's watered and nurtured, but then provides offspring. And so the fruits of what we're doing are being seen even today as we're speaking, not just as students, but as actually established professionals. And so I'm very, very appreciative you have no insight into what Josh and I have been working on that you're able to talk to from the origins of how we came about. And I think it's important. You say we share this story every single year. Not really. We share the overarching part of it, to be honest. But every single time we talk, there's a pruning of more of the why, of the how. And I think it's very important because every year, every day, we're getting new people that don't know our stories. We're getting new people that don't know who you are and how you've grown up, where you've grown up with, the people you've grown up with, to allow you to be able to feel comfortable challenging men. And I think that's important, to be able to be comfortable to raise a family and to still say, no, I can do both. I don't need to choose. That's not by mistake. And so your ability to share and be vulnerable, which is one of our values of being a vulnerable leader, is truly one of the values of Vision. And I haven't done this yet, so we're going to practice it right now. We're going to see if it'll let me do it. Let's try it. Bow. Let's see if it'll let me do it. Let's see.
You are making Josh nervous.
I know, very nervous. Let's try it. Let's see. Bam. There we go. It shows it. This is, I literally, as we're going through, and one of the underpinnings of this Pill Showcase is to remember. And remember for us is threefold.
Wow.
We want to remember where we came from. And not just as Pills, but as people who were, as to put it in Dr. Onye's words, on fire and have passion. And we still have that passion, just to be clear, but to remember just the type of passion we are, to remember all of the people that we've helped, that have helped us. And we want them to be remembers of our organization. it's a membership drive as well. A lot of people have supported us and they want to be a part of our organization. Well, we finally have a paid membership, and we want you to pay and invest and pour into us financially so we can continue to expand. And so on any one of our platforms, you can click to join our community. There is a investment that we're going to be looking for, but we want you to remember that. I mean, the last part of remember is to remember your vision. And your vision, as Pastor Dr. Blackwell said, is not just what you can see. It is what has been given to you that you need the help of others. And if you remember where you came from, you remember and become of something bigger than you. And you remember the vision and the power that's given to you. We believe that after 9 going on 10 years, and you've been committed to something, even through adversity and through failures, you'll also be able to be an executive director again on an organization. All jokes aside, we want to remember, hey, our very first, this event is where I met Duke. It's crazy that 9 years ago at this event is where I met one of the people that I respect. He's younger than me. I respect him just as much as my co-founders based off what he's doing and the man he is. And we met here, and we've been keeping our bond has been going stronger. This is the first time that all 3 of us, because this event in December, it took 6 months to plan, and we didn't have a financial sponsor. And it was Onye who was able to, probably a month before it was ready. We were going to pay out our own pockets. A month before, got our very first sponsor. And this event is also where, because we had to put things on paper, we had stuff for the government, but we didn't have stuff for people. It allowed us as a unit to really put together one of the things that we still hold today. We brought together Martine, and she came up in a meeting of being at every stage, not just for students, but at every stage of healthcare and wealth creation. And so as I put this up, what comes to your mind as you remember not just this moment, but this was literally 9 years ago during this time period? What are some of the things that are coming to your mind, Josh, and what are some of the things that are coming to your mind, Onye? And I see both of y'all are on mute outside of background noise, which could be happening. Let's make this a conversation. This ain't no presentation now. So
Yeah, go first.
So the question is, what comes to my mind when I see this flyer?
When you see this,
yeah,
and
man,
what brought us? What comes to your mind?
Man, excitement. I remember we were setting up for it. You know, DDA, who was our sponsor from Northwestern Mutual, shout out to DDA, and my financial advisor. He he was excited too. He was like, "Wow, I've never seen an organization like this before." And I remember we were at I think it was Del Frisco's, and
Del Frisco.
Yeah. Oh, did it say that on there?
Yeah.
We were at Del Frisco's, and I mean, it was so elegant. It was so well done. You know, George was giving his story. I gave my story. Josh gave his story. Well, Josh, were you there?
No, I was about to say.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Devastated because I just started a new job.
That's right.
Ad hoc.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Josh was the only one that was missing, and it was so good. People were so excited to see what we were doing. I mean, people were just like piling in. I mean, the room was packed. It got to a point where Del Frisco was like, "All right, some of y'all can't go in." So it was just, right, and it was so exciting to see all of that. And so when I see this picture, it's definitely nostalgia. It gives me memories, good memories of like just our first like coming out, like showing like this is who we are, we're Pills, and to see where we've come from, today is just, I would have never thought. I knew it was something big, and I'm not gonna lie, I think part of me was like, man, this might be too big, like for us,
Mm-hmm.
and no, it wasn't.
Yeah, I'll never forget all the stories I heard after coming back. I also think that was the year Michelle Obama went. And anyway, I'm gonna leave that alone.
That's right.
It was fire.
I had to stay behind, starting a new job, but it's okay. But I remember all of the excitement, all of the students that were texting me. My RPD found out about it, and she was hearing things, and I kept getting, "What is Pills? Like, are you part of Pills? I see your photo, and oh my gosh, that's my photo from pharmacy school. That's crazy." And it's just like so do you know what's happening with pills and like how can I be involved? And at the time we were like, okay, you can sign up to be ambassador, because that's all we had. We had no idea what to tell these people because we were just figuring things out
That's true.
as we went. And I think, and I know George loves this. I am not that guy. I'm much more risk averse. I like to have a plan. I love things in decency and in order, excellence. Okay, like the order of the Lord. But anyway, I do agree with the fact that at times you need to go live with something, even if it's not perfect, even though it's not finished. And that's exactly what we did. We all got on the call right beforehand, even though I wasn't going, I was on the call, and everybody was like, okay, this is what we thinking, but we're gonna let it flow. We didn't know what to expect. We thought like, okay, it's gonna be like 20 people maybe because we're gonna invite our friends and everything like that. But hindsight 2020, we shouldn't have invited anybody because the flyer did the work for us and like the room was packed. And so literally we're always going live or starting something because you just never know at the time what someone needs. And if you hold back that fruit, then they may not get the seeds, so that way they can have that ground that's cultivated and growing, and they may need that in this season for them to actually produce their own fruit. And so I think that's exactly what we did. And it was just an amazing time. I know, like I said, Michelle Obama was there. I'm so sad. I hope they bring her back. Maybe I'll be maybe I'll serve in leadership at that time too. But I think it's very important that we didn't know what to expect, but just the blessing that that came out of that. I mean, it was just phenomenal. So yeah.
I really think it propelled us, to be honest. Like, I think that mixer is what really kind of pushed us out there, and we're like, okay, we're here, y'all. So we got to do it. We got to do it.
That's true, because you guys had a sign up. I don't know if y'all remember this. Y'all had a sign up.
We had a sign up.
And that sign up list was long. And Martine and I got that sign up list. And I'm looking at Martine, and Martine looking at me. And I'm like, because Martine wasn't there either. But
she wasn't.
We looked at each other, and we like, okay. And then that's when we decide, okay, so how are we going to organize this? What are we going to do? Who are we going to help? How are we going to prioritize everything like that? And I'll never forget what Martine said. She said, listen, we just going to have to figure this out, because this is what we got, what we going to do. And so Tina and I got on a call, and I'll never forget, it was a few hours we sat on that call. We organized everything because we had no idea what y'all came up with. And then that list, we're like, okay, I guess we got a full-time job on our hands. And so it literally off. And it was just such an amazing experience. So yeah.
Amazing time. Ooh, I remember that. Remember those days.
And I love it. Y'all are using in a good way the words, but I think it's important to remember like where you came from. It's important to remember the greatness that we had that was still in us, and how it's not just then. We're continuing to do that. I mean, as I see this, again, it's probably, if you go to our Instagram at the very bottom, we try not to delete stuff. There's a couple of things that we've hidden, but we try not to delete stuff. So like our Instagram is actually a history book if you look at it from the bottom up. And so it was beautiful, going back to what you shared, to see like, wow, our programming stemmed off of this, because we were starting to see what could we do. We had a couple of ideas, but because we had people like Raina and Yanni and Chelsea and Kayanda and Ashley and all of those people, not just be a part of our leadership team, but they had talents themselves. It started to be a platform for them to do their thing. And as I look at this, it gave us our style of programming, where we wanted to give not just people talking, but practical and tactical tools, where we wanted to allow our platform to not just be about the founders. We knew that we had to be first, but our goal was to have a platform where we're actually amplifying other people and their talents. And as we think about the challenges that we had, and I think it's important for us to share that, and I'm gonna take this down as we go into, okay, we had our first phase of growth and in a good way, hyperactivity. We had a full board, we had meetings, we had special meetings and people running stuff. We had Chandler running stuff, we had Erica running stuff. And then 2020 happened and a lot of personal things happened. What are some of the things you remember about that, as well as, and I think it's important to share and be vulnerable about those things, because we're on the other side of it, but it's important to share. This is not easy, to be honest, and you can still have the challenges that you decide to share and still find a way to connect the dots and bring us back to the original vision of why we started. So I'll pass that off to Josh first, and then we'll go to Ye, because Josh likes to always be
exactly. You was gonna pawn it to me,
yeah,
so go
I
ahead,
know.
Josh.
I'm gonna make sure. Yeah.
Man, what do I remember about 2020?
Mm.
A lot. I moved from Baltimore from my first job at Hopkins to where I'm at right now, UT Southwestern.
B. Hopkins. I mean, you like to skip on greatness.
Right.
My first job at Harvard, and I was president of the Stanford. My first job is at the Johns Hopkins. Like what?
Right.
I wish that Lord, that was a story in itself too. But yes, at Hopkins. I tried to say Houston, but anyway, okay. And then from there, I'll never forget. I was hired on as what I am today, which is the inventory manager for the system, and they basically said you're going to be a vaccinating pharmacist for your first almost 2 years. It felt like. Where I mean, I've never worked so hard in my life.
That was a lot. I remember that time.
You think about residency, and like we're having meetings, and literally I'm diluting vaccinations. I am writing up policies. I am sleeping at the hospital. I am going to the floors and vaccinating while I'm on the phone with Brian and Ye and then Gio, and then by the way, Martina and I got work to do on the back end. So Martina and I are working on the back end to kind of get things figured out and everything like that. It was just a lot. I mean, I don't know how vulnerable I want to be, but I guess I'll just say that I know a lot of healthcare workers have went through this, but I felt like I had my first breakdown. It led me to therapy. I've never been so challenged in my life, because also 2020 was when George Floyd was killed. And while I was at Hopkins, I had a team of Black women, Black technicians, and I had technicians breaking down. Even though I wanted to break down and I was having an out-of-body experience, I had to support them and their children. Individuals were hospitalized. So I'm visiting my colleagues in the hospital, not knowing what's happening with COVID. It just was a lot. And I just remember a new definition of resilience. You know, I didn't know about families. We were all concerned about our families. Our loved ones were dying. I lost my aunt that year, who is, was one of the senior pastors of our church. And I couldn't go to the funeral. And I loved her so much, but I couldn't go because I'm here taking care of individuals. I mean, I think 2020 was a blur. I sometimes try not to think about it. I try to block it out, which is sad because, the Tuesday, December 15th at 5 a.m., I gave my first vaccination at UT Southwestern. And I'll never get that time period because it was the time period where everything started, everything shut down, and I didn't know how we were going to come out of this. And so it's scary to lead through times of uncertainty, through times of stress, chaos, turmoil, literally redefining who you are, because you have to grow in an area, in an environment that is so uncomfortable that you don't feel at peace. And we all want peace. And so I think 2020, when I reflect on it, is the most I reflected on it, because like I said, I try to block it out. It just was a lot. And it was very challenging for me personally, as well as a leader.
And I want to double click real quick because yes, I said 2020. It's a 2020 through that time period, because I also want both of you, and yeah, you'll also double click when it's your opportunity, around the leadership change, around how our board changed, the dynamics, and how everything you said, which is still true. I think it's important, again, for organizations and for other organizations and for people and for leaders to understand just how adverse the personal, the professional, the additional are, and how it, from your perspective, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, those changes happen and fell on you. So definitely want you to double click on that.
Go ahead.
No.
Josh, what was a Josh question?
No, I don't want to. Oh gosh.
I know.
I'm trying to think how to say this.
Really? Say it like a leader.
Brian personally was going through a lot, and 2019 was the last the last mid-year before COVID. And he came and snuck in and came to mid-year. He actually stayed with me. And in that room, we had some significant conversation just about his life, what's going on and everything like that. And he kind of was like, bro, I got to take a step back. I'm ready to give up. I got to take a step back. And I told him, I told him that I am not going to let this organization die. I told him that. I said, okay, you got a lot going on. I had no idea what COVID was going to bring. By this time, China is going crazy. We didn't know what the hell was happening in the United States. So I just was like, we can continue going. I mean, it should be fine. I had no idea what the pandemic had to offer. So I'm like, you know what, bro? I'm going to keep the organization going. So if that means I got to step up more, I will step up more. And behind the scenes, I did that. I'm going to have Ye come back over here.
Yeah.
Don't leave me hanging. No, I'm playing. I think I felt a weight on my shoulder. I felt that I had to lead this organization and maintain the vision of the organization that I didn't even birth. This didn't come from me. I'm not the founder. That was Brian. But I felt like I had to make sure that it continues because he was the first one to really bring it to me to take nationally. And I wanted to make sure that it's important for me to recognize and realize that this vision has to continue on no matter who is leading the organization. And so that's what I did. And it was a lot. And I didn't know what I was signing up for because COVID is over in China. But then it came to us and I had no idea what my life would bring. New job, George Floyd, serving on the ASHP DEI task force. And I didn't know that people across the country were nominating me. I know what it was. And the weight of that, the weight of being a Black man at the time, one thing that stuck with me from that year, transparently, is I drive with my head on the swivel, but really always looking because of the violence against Black and Brown Americans in this country. And so we have some work to do. We have some growing to do, but yeah, that's what was happening with the board. So there's a lot of shuffle. I know that I had to lead more. I was double dutying whatever he needed, just because our brother needed that support at the time.
Man, and I wanted to be super clear and respectful of one in 2020. That year for any and everybody means a couple of things. And so we don't even have to say what that means. Just 2020 was a crazy year. But I did want you to pull through the decision that you made before that even happened. You didn't even know. And I think it's important as, again, Brian, the founder, someone who has birthed something twice, first on a campus and then nationally, trusted you enough, because knowing Brian is a very methodical thinker. He's the opposite of me. He thinks about stuff for a very long time, writes it out, and makes sure it's the right decision before that. And so for him to do what he did, it was an intentional that he trusted you to be the next leader of the organization. And no one knew that 2020 was going to happen in the way it did. I know for me personally, it's also when Kobe Bryant died, and I didn't realize how strong that hit me. My then girlfriend, so she wasn't my fiance, then girlfriend, now wife, saw me differently because she had only seen me as a Black Nigerian man who never really showed emotion. And she saw how much all of those events, because it was the Floyd, it was Kobe, it was all of the deaths that started happening. And then, oh, by the way, for me personally, my first time losing my role, we call it reallocation, but they have a reduction in force at Lilly. So all those things finally hit me in the face, which then caused some of the things that we had from a board standpoint. And so, Onye, before I go too deep there on me, talk about some of those challenges in that time frame. It doesn't have to stick on 2020, but that 2019 and tail end through 2021, 2022, especially in your seat. How did the organization change, our leadership change, and what were some of the things that we took away as how we grew from those interactions?
Yeah. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The pandemic was a juxtaposition for me. Like, it was, as far as the organization is concerned, and one setting, man, I was like, we need pills more than ever now. Like, this is a situation where we need pills because we need to really, really diversify the workforce. We need to really help people see the importance of diversity in this country. And then on the other hand, I was tired. We were fighting a lot. Everybody's everybody was going through their own thing. Everybody was going through their own emotions, especially with George Floyd, and just I was I think I was I pregnant that year. No, I wasn't. No, I actually was pregnant that year. I had a miscarriage. There was a lot going, and I don't even think my team knew that. I don't even know they knew that now. but I was going through a lot.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, I was going through a lot. I had a miscarriage that year. Work was crazy. As a pharmacist, I'm a HEMONC pharmacist. I ran with the HEMONC team, but they had us doing codes, I was literally on somebody doing chest compressions, and it was intense. And so, like I said, at one point I was like, man, this is really like, we need pills more than ever now, like to really put out here in the community, in our country. They need to see, number one, who pharmacists are. Pharmacists were being highlighted on the news because we were vaccinating, and I'm like, we're more than just vaccinators though. Like, we need to show what we can do. And so I was very passionate still, even in that moment. But then at the same time, I was like, man, I'm exhausted, right? And so that was my transition from doing day to day to the board. And at first, I didn't want to go to the board. Me and Josh have different stories. I feel like Josh sat me down, but but he said I went to the board myself. I don't know if that was true, but he sat me down, and so I went to the board
after the conversation. Right. But a transition of career needed to happen.
No, but I went to the board, and I think it was a necessary and needed transition. I think me and Brian went to the board, and George and Josh stayed on, and it was tough, I think, for all of us in our own ways. But at the same time, we still kept the balance somehow to keep the organization going. And I think it's just a testament to our faith in the organization, our faith in the vision, and our faith in each other. I mean, we like I said, we fight like brothers and sisters.
Literally.
But and we've grown. There's so much growth. I was literally, telling George, we had a call yesterday, and I wasn't crying or anything, but I was literally telling him how proud of all of us, I am, and the growth that I see in George, the growth that I see in each and every single one of us. And it's like, we've grown so much as humans, as people, as leaders, especially me being the only female leader too. Like, we've grown so much in this organization. I just think it's a beautiful thing. So.
Oh, I love that. And knowing that we've not just grown, I think it's important to understand, as an organization transitions, that's when an organization can die. It can literally, like an organ, like that is not going to work. But that didn't happen because...
Oh, George, we play a role. I saw you wrote that.
Yeah.
That's true.
That is true.
That campaign was something.
It literally not only is something, it's still something now as we think of being at every stage. That's another tenet or pillar within our organization of, we play a role at every stage. Yes, through COVID is when it came out, but you hear the ethos of everyone wants to put pharmacists in a box, literally. And we have HEMONC pharmacists doing codes. That's not just medicine. We have pharmacists that are making, we have pharmacists that are leading business units. Rhonda Pacheco, she was the VP of our largest business unit at Lilly. She just took over the entire business unit at Takeda, she took the place of the now Takeda CEO. And so as we think of we playing a role, and then Pharmacy Fridays, these were two things that came out of COVID. And as we think of the expansion from the founder to our co-founder leading an organization, we also expanded our team. Our team became the largest because also COVID showed the entire world that everything doesn't have to be in person. More people were easily influenced to ensure that on a Zoom call or virtually, we're able to still keep things going. And as you look at our YouTube, a lot of our content still to this day, and it's still valuable. Some of the nuggets in there came during that 2020 to 2023, 2024 timeframe. And that's a testament to Josh's leadership, who's a different leader than me, a different leader than Brian, and his ability to truly guide and hear people, both publicly and privately. is something that is a superpower of you, Josh. And I think, again, people don't give Josh his flowers enough because of how he likes to downplay, quote unquote, being a number 2 and a number 1 at the same time. You always call yourself a number 2, which is fine and fair. But I say number 1 and number 2 at the same time because you're still in the number 1 person that everyone goes to when they have an issue and they have a problem. You're the number 1 person that Brian decided to trust his vision with twice, not 1 time, but 2 times. And you're the number 1 person that is still the backbone of our organization, no matter what role you play. And so I'm blessed to have not just continued to lead with you, but to lead after you. And Pills would not be alive if you were not able to not just tell that to Brian, but you showed it with your actions. And so as we think of and pivot to the final piece of this, so Anya probably already knew this, but I told her she was only gonna be on for 30 minutes. She probably got a call and say, "Where are you?" And so now as we try to wrap up an hour of conversation, I wanna make sure as we think about not just remembering what you did, talked about our failures, because I think, again, it's important to continue to hear that theme of failure. However you see failure, it's a part of the equation to getting to the next stage. And now to the last part, the vision, the value of vision. What are the things that you're seeing? And this is an open question for both of you. What are the things that you're seeing? What are the things that you want to see flourished? And how do you see the next 5 years of Pills? And when I say seeing, that's just the world. What are you seeing? What are some of your observations as a leader? What are some of the things you want to see happen? And lastly, how do you see Pills being a part of that vision? And so that's open to both of you.
Go ahead, yeah, just in case.
I'll just say, go ahead, Josh.
No, I'm about to say, just in case that phone call was real.
No, what am I seeing? I'm seeing a lot right now, especially being in academia and the climate of this country in the moment. I'm seeing that there's this lack of health disparities or health diversity agenda, and I don't like it, right? And so it's so important because us as healthcare professionals, we see all different kinds of people, everybody across the spectrum. We see all races, all ethnicities, and it's so important that we continue to strive to make sure that we're treating our patients the right way. And it doesn't matter what area you work in, it doesn't matter what discipline. You can work in tech, we still serve patients, right? We still serve people. And so I see Pills leading that effort in the next 5 years, putting so many excellent pharmacists out there in the field to help serve people of all different backgrounds, races, ethnicities. And I think it's so important that we put pharmacists that are prepared, pharmacists that are qualified, pharmacists that are strong, and pharmacists that see that same vision out there. It's so important that we continue to push that narrative and push that agenda for the sake of people in general in this country. And then to take it a step further, when I say people, there's people that are underrepresented. And that could be people that live in rural countries, African Americans, indigent, incarcerated, people that are being left behind. I want us to remember to not leave these people behind. No matter what agenda they're trying to put out there, there's so many people out there that need our help. And there's so many people who are underrepresented who can't help themselves. And that's where we come into play as healthcare providers. It doesn't matter if you're a pharmacist, a medical doctor, an optometrist, a nurse, a CNA. It doesn't matter where you are. However, we need to make sure that we are continuing to remember our oath to do no harm and take care of patients across the spectrum of the country, of the nation, of the globe. So I want to make sure that I'm being very clear about that. And so I see Pills being a part of that. Even with Dr. Duclos being up here as Black Health Connect, I see, just like George was saying, I see partnerships. I see just pushing that needle a little bit further than we have. We single-handedly have put diverse pharmacists out in the field, and I'm very proud of what Pills has done. I mean, I don't know of any other organization to say that for pharmacists. So we've literally helped and trained pharmacists to be the best they can be in their field. So I want to continue doing that.
I love that. I love that. Josh?
So what do I see for pills? I see pills diversifying and going back to what Ye was saying, putting people, diverse individuals in different places that they never thought were possible. And this doesn't have to be just pharmacists either. It could be doctors, lawyers, surgeons, architects, fashion designers, putting people in places that they never thought they would be seen, heard, or even valued. I think that's something that I'm looking forward to. Something else that I don't want us to lose sight of. Y'all probably know what I'm about to say, but I just, in this time period of people being so self-righteous, self-focused, self-driven, where it's all about me and mine and not the we cannot lose sight of each individual collectively making the movement. We are the movement. And it's going to take each of us when we're down, uplifting each other, encouraging each other, investing in each other financially, time wise, whatever that is. I just don't want us to miss what true community is. It is literally the fabric of what is going to make your business work, my business work. It's going to make your family thrive, my family thrive. It's going to plant seeds in the next generations to come. And that's why Pill started with people, which is why one of our pillars that a lot probably came from me is vulnerable, because it takes all of us to do the work. Yeah, just talked about health disparities. One person can't fix that. It's a collective unit and movement that's going to do that. And so I see pills literally redefining, right? Redefining what healthcare looks like, redefining what support looks like, redefining what diversity means, and how do you live out your diversity. I see pills redefining what does it mean to build for the next generation that lives longer 10 generations past you. I see pills creating new platforms and opportunities to really re-engage what it means to be a leader, and how to be a leader that changes the ecosystem that you were called to be in. Not what I'm called to be in, but what you are called to be in. Because we all have a unique destiny, purpose, and design that is meant for us to be the collective movement. And so I think that's what I want to see pills in. Not forgetting about each individual people, but collectively moving forward to one goal, one purpose, and really being a resounding leader as to what it means to be successful in America today and international in the world. So that's what I see.
And I see the collection plate going around because of the messages that were just shared by Dr. Blackwell and Dr. Ye. I agree with both of you in terms of not just your visions, but what you've seen and what literally the world that we're in today. And the one thing that I want to pull through for both of you all is that neither one of you are thinking that pills is going to do it on themselves. You're talking about the we in terms of not just people, but the we in organizations. You're talking about the we and not just quote unquote being for Black, but having underrepresented, underinvested, underheard or unheard people being served and being a part of actually the solution. And so as I'm blessed, privileged to take leadership of this amazing organization for the next 5 years, you all obviously will be a part of that journey with me. But I'm glad that we're both looking in the same direction to unite and to help redefine the value of leadership, the value of people, the value of pharmacists, and the value of professionals as we look to move beyond our first mission and vision and expand into our next. And so with that, I'll leave it with both of you to share one last word, and then we'll take a brief 2-minute pause to see if our next guest, which if that person doesn't show up, I'll share why. A very important reason why if he cannot, but I want to create space for him to show up if he can. So Dr. Blackwell, Dr. Onenobu, I'll leave any last words you want to share. I know I've been practicing.
I just want to say Josh laughing at me. You know that this is what the young kids be doing.
She ate, honey.
That's what she got. That's what she got when
Right,
she her report, got her trained and everything.
You know, I gotta stay young. You know, I gotta keep up. No, but I wanted to say the last words is just stay on your path. Let God lead you where you're going. Stay on your path. If you have something or an idea that you have in your mind to help people do better or be better, go out there and do it. Do it afraid. Kind of like how we did with Pills. Like Josh was saying earlier, we need more people in these spaces, and so building community, building relationships is so important in this day and age. And so I'll just leave you with that. Love y'all. I gotta jump off because the kiddos, I'm hearing the boom, 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 boom upstairs. So I gotta. So that's that time. All right, but I love you all. So good to see you guys or hear you guys are virtual. Actually, I don't see nobody, so I know y'all seeing me.
Shout out to Instagram. Shout out to YouTube.
Right. Shout out to IG, YouTube.
Yes.
Shout out to the globe. We global, baby.
But I'll see y'all on LinkedIn and hopefully in person one soon.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Take care,
y'all. I think what I am chewing on, I guess, or processing is don't negate the seeds that you have sown just because you don't see the fruit right now. I think that is something that I am wrestling with even right now. The leadership positions and opportunities that I've had, I didn't ask for. I can admit that, but I also leave saying, why did it not go a certain way, or why did I not see this fruit or that fruit? And so don't negate that, and make sure you cherish that what you have given is enough, and ensuring that you recognize that you're unique. And so with that being said, Pills of the Home, please select that link that you see in the chat that paid that $255, and it's not just paying the $255. It's really about being collective and being in a place, in an environment where we see you. And if you want to be seen, you want to be poured into, Pills is home. And so come home, and I'll leave you with that.
Man, that's beautiful. Yeah, obviously you're about to see what I see. I have something prepared that I've been noodling on for probably 6 to 8 months now. And it does come from a valley. The value of vision to me is something I've been blessed. God has given me that gift since I was born. And I'm just a living testimony to him. And before I get too emotional, I'm excited to share that with you all, to release it, number one, but then two, to have you all be a part of it. I think vision, again, is given to one person, but to be shared by many. And if you do believe in what you see or what you hear, as my brother says, come home. We have a place for you. And just because you're at this house or at this home doesn't mean that you can't visit others. We're definitely going to continue to partner with other homes. And for us, it is personal. This isn't a professional organization. This is a personal organization, and it will continue to be. So with that, I'm going to put up the first slide just to make sure that it shows. I'm going to make a quick call just to make sure if our special guests can see us. If they can't, I'll kick it off. And Josh, I do want you to stay on. I know you didn't plan to. It's literally going to be 2 minutes.
No. I will stay on
just to make sure.
Of course, but I will give you the stage because this is your time.
Oh yeah. No, not for that. Yeah, as I share this screen, just to make sure
yes.
that people still know that something's going on.
Yes.
Go here. One, share screen, entire screen.
And everybody introducing the next Pills president CEO. George O. All right.
So I can't see anything now, but let me see what I can do. Whoa, we going too fast. I can't see. Is StreamYard sharing your screen? Yes. I can't see y'all, but Josh, I'm gonna take a 2 minutes. I'm gonna come back and because I can't see you, I'm gonna ask you, can you see me? And then we'll go on the stage and I'll wing it until I don't.
I can see you and I see your screen.
I'm about to walk out real quick and make sure.
Okay.
All right.
Well, you guys have me. Any questions, y'all?
Yeah,
Free to ask any
get
questions.
the chat engaged.
Okay.
I'll be back.
I wasn't ready for this, but you know what? We flowing in pills. So please don't be alarmed. Ask questions. I see Instagram. I see YouTube. I see those that are on our platform here with StreamYard. What questions do you have? How can we be a support to you? If you have questions about the new vision that we have with pills, you know, Gio's about to present it to you, but really, this is y'all's time. We want to make sure that we do leave space for all of those that have questions. If you're trying to become a protege, please know that we're taking all years and current practitioners. So we actually have a couple of practitioners that are our proteges this year. So we're taking everybody. It's open. It's open to all. This is home for y'all. We see you. We love you. We want to appreciate you, but we also want to invest in you. And so once again, feel free to put questions in the chat, anything and everything. Everything is fair game. As he takes a sip. Are you ready?
Born ready.
All right. The floor is yours.
So with that, yes, we're not going to have that special guest. We'll bring them on at another time. But no, we're now going at an hour and a half of streaming, and it was intentional for me to showcase and demonstrate our partnership with other visions that are not from this. Now we're going to coin it from this house, as my brother and the second president of Pills has just shared. Two, it was important to me to share also the perspectives of the people that started this organization. We started off yesterday with a members only conversation with our original founder, Dr. Black. Yes, he's Black. Dr. Brian Sackey, who had this vision and put it into motion, put a lot of things into motion, officially brought together some titans in the game, formally submitted documentation, and we've been going 9 years strong. And then three, for me to share my vision for the next stage and phase of Pills. It's not lost on me, again, that I'm doing this on multiple platforms. I've been blessed to be the first son of three boys, the first son of three, which are boys, to pastors Mike and Christy, growing up and watching my dad have multiple businesses and my mom take on multiple jobs. I've always thought in multiples. Also, the fact that we're able to have someone like myself to sign on for 5 years. I think our first two transitions happened based off of circumstance. I wanted to make sure, as I'm stepping into the third leader of this organization, that I created some certainty, some clarity in terms of no matter what happens outside of God taking me home, I'll be here for the next 5 years. And I wanted to intentionally ensure that as I'm leading, people see where we're headed. So on the screen right now is your opportunity with the QR code to also take part in what we're doing before you see the vision. Pills is on multiple platforms in terms of technology. We're in multiple states and ages. And this QR code, this community, is going to be the go-to place and space for us to pour into our members. We will have multiple opportunities outside of this space for people who don't want such a high-touch opportunity. But for those that do, you'll see this QR code a couple more times throughout the presentation, because we have this live streaming. We have people coming in and coming out. We're on a campaign right now to have our first 100 members. We're about halfway there. And this is our launch party all week. The goal is to help us remember where we came from, remember the people who have been a part of the journey, and have them become members of it officially. And then lastly, to remember our power. So with that, I'll get on with things. And so for me, I've been blessed to fast forward and join an organization, Eli Lilly and Company, and spend the better part of 10 years of my life, starting as a visiting scientist fellow, and the first from Texas Southern University, and not the last. I made sure there were others before me to join the Visiting Scientist Fellowship. And I moved from Houston, Texas to Indianapolis in 2014. And over that last decade, I've been blessed to have every single role that you see on here did not exist before I got it, with the exception of the last role as a vice president of the Lilly Foundation. As you look at that March and June of 2022, that was when Eli Lilly paid for me to go to business school at the University of Michigan. And it was important for me to go deeper into entrepreneurship and venture capital, a place where is even more siloed than the healthcare industry in terms of people that look like us leading. And it's with that vision that I was able to prepare and provide a little bit of the vision that you're going to see here today. You've heard this word over and over again today, and I want to be clear, neither Josh nor Onye have seen this. This is something that has been built over the last couple of months through my experiences, through my exposure, through examples that I've seen and taken part of. I didn't research anything outside of a little chat GPT to make it sound right. But a lot of this and all of this has been based off of the experiences that I've been blessed to see with my own eyes, hear about, or take part of. And so here at Pills, as you've heard, fruit is something that's very important to us. And as we look at the definition of fruit, we see fruit as the sweet and the fleshy product of a tree. And again, I want to be clear, the sweet, which means it tastes good, and it's a product of something that was built before it, or other plants that contains a seed. Again, something has been planted to get the fruit, and it can be eaten as food, both as a actual thing of food or metaphorically, it can be eaten as something that can sustain you beyond where you are today. Fruit is important. And I've been really noodling on this word paradox, but also failure is important. So if you can be very high and receive fruit from a tree based off a seed that you or someone else planted, you also have to be able to understand that failure in producing that fruit is a part of it. And failure is a lack of success in doing or achieving something. The omission of expected or required action or result. And I want to be clear, failure as a definition here is a lack of success. So I'm defining what fruit is, and I'm defining what failure is in terms of fruit being something that is sweet and it's a product of something, and failure being the omission of an expected or required action or result. And throughout not just my 10 years of life, but my more than 30 years of life, I've been able to have and experience both fruit and failure. The fruit of being the first of 3 boys born of pastors, Mike and Christy. I've been able to see my father raise up a church, leave, and start his own. I've been able to see my middle brother go through and graduate undergrad and then graduate school in less than 10 years and marry his beautiful queen, who's given us our first generation of nephews and nieces. I've been able to see my baby brother get into medical school and continue to pursue his dreams. I've also been able to see myself pivot from being an all-star athlete in Texas and get scholarships, which you know is a big deal, to go to the University of Houston, where for the very first time, I was challenged to see people who look like me debunk myths. I'm a member of the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, and traditionally we wear black and gold. You see, this is one of the people that pledged Alpha before me. He's wearing red. And traditionally, Alphas are smooth and they don't jump up inside the airs like another fraternity. They showed me, hey, you can both wear red and wear purple, like I'm wearing here today, jump up and down like another fraternity and still be an Alpha. And it really challenged my mindset of me pursuing the profession of pharmacy and how I don't have to fit the mold that other people have defined. How can I redefine and reshape how I think about the things that I'm a part of, the places that I am, and where I'm at to go? And so with that vision in mind, I pursued the FDA, I pursued Bristol Myers Squibb, and I pursued the pharmaceutical industry versus where I had been at CVS Pharmacy for all those years. And it was through those experiences I started to pursue my first failures. Going back to the fruit that I had on the first side of this, I failed to get into pharmacy school my first time. I failed to get into a fellowship process. I also failed classes in pharmacy school. And it was through that failure that I was able to take a step back and remember how I got here. And as I remember that, I was fortunate enough to then receive the fruit of getting into the Visiting Scientist Fellowship, where I was able to redefine what it meant to be an early career professional at that stage. But you didn't really come here to just hear about my story. And so, who gives an F about just me? Who, right? I told you I was going to give you the definition or the redefinition as we redefine what it means to think about failure. And as I think and I remember about failure and failure giving an F, to me, failure fuels. Failure fuels your fears. As I talk about my undergrad experiences at University of Houston, I didn't really make it into pharmacy school the first time I tried. I didn't see people that looked like me until I was put into contact with the greatest human being still living to this day, Dr. Williams. And if you know Dr. Williams, you can Google him, you can look him up. He's one of the oldest faculty members at the University of Houston. He's by himself, single-handedly put over thousands of students into residencies and fellowships. And not only that, he's someone who introduced me into Rebecca Scott, who introduced me into SNAFA. And it was through that experience that I felt seen and I felt heard. And I was able to get into pharmacy school across the street at Texas Southern University and truly let that failure of getting a 21 on my PCAT to then come back and take it and get a better score. I didn't get a 21, didn't get 100, but I got a better score and got admitted into Texas Southern University. And it was through my time at Texas Southern University that failure fueled me, that fear, to represent Dr. Williams, Rebecca Scott, and the Student National Pharmaceutical Association as the first ever chairman of the organization to bring a regional conference, 345 with these wonderful individuals, Dr. Femi, Dr. Amanda, and Dr. Djamila. Together, those two people in the middle, they were Rho Chi, myself and Femi. Femi was a Q, and I was an Alpha. We were in the back of the class, they were in the front of the class. We came together, and it was my first opportunity to see the value of vision and how fear could allow us to make and create something that was bigger than us. At that time, we brought a record 400 people to the conference. Before that, conferences hosted around 200, and we raised over $100,000. Typically, a conference at that time raised about $50K. And so we more than doubled the people and the sponsorships, and it allowed an opportunity for people like Amanda from Texas Southern and others to have resources after we left to do what they needed to do. And so it was through that failure and that fueling of fear that I learned the power of how failure can fuel you. Failure also fuels focus. And so after the success of the conference, and we won chapter of the year that year amongst all the other accolades we won, I also won the national president of the entire organization. And it was at that time I gave the speech, which I still use today. That failure caused me to truly focus on the ability to have the privilege, the platform, and the power of leading an organization. My failure of classes in pharmacy school. So I failed to get into pharmacy school the first time, and then I failed in pharmacy school. I failed chemistry, which held me back a year. I still was able to lead an organization through that failure, through that adversity. And it allowed me to understand that I don't stop with the failure. I have to be fueled to keep going. I not only won national president, I also applied to get into the FDA, which is very hard to get into, and Bristol Myers Squibb. And it was through that focus of knowing I didn't want to practice the clinical route, I wanted to practice the corporate route, that I started to make connections and truly believe in my path. And then another failure happened. I didn't get any of the fellowships that I tried to apply to. And for clarity, I applied to regulatory affairs. And for those that know me, I probably don't belong in anybody's regulatory affairs office. And so that taught me the power of focus on what I really was meant to do. That failure also fueled my faith. I did believe in what my path was. I believed in the people around me. And I believed in my family. It helped me, for those that have been through pharmacy school or any type of hard thing, I had really detached from my family to be focused in what I was doing. And it was the failure of going back and hearing my dad's messages every Sunday, which during school, I stopped going to church. Even though his church was in Houston, I stopped going to church. The ability to hear his messages and every single message happening to me, it caused me to be convicted to start doing messages myself. And so we instituted what still holds today, Thank God It's Sunday. Following Eric Thomas, I did 5-minute mini sermons based off of what my dad was preaching, because my dad is an old school 2-hour type of preacher. I got to take his message and boil it down into 5 minutes before he gave it. So for people from my generation or people who might not stay that entire time, they still got to hear the message. And it caused me to understand and believe in things bigger than me. And so that focus, that ability to understand that failure fueled my fears, failure fueled my focus, and failure also fueled my faith. It caused me to repeatedly do something every single day to build upon those things. And although I didn't get a fellowship the first time I tried, and I did get into the FDA, I did get to graduate. The second year when I applied, I did get into the fellowship. And so as I shared with you before, fruit is the sweet and the fleshy product of a tree or the other plant that contains seed and cannot be eaten as food. As I think about how failure has fueled me, I'd like to take this opportunity to redefine and redefined the result of what happened to me. I started to look at failure as part of the process, not just a place in the process. And I started to see that failure doesn't just fuel fear, fuel faith, and fuel focus. Failure also fuels fruit. After getting into Eli Lilly and Company and getting them to take a chance on me, within the first year, I was asked to do a TED Talk, which is still on YouTube today. And it was at that point that I had to focus and really understand, how did I even get here? Just a year ago, I didn't have any opportunities. And a year later, I was not only inside a company, but I was asked to speak on a stage in front of thousands of people. On top of that, I was doing such a great job that Lilly continued to sponsor me in my education, and where I took a time to really focus on the next phase of Pills and where we're going now. And so even though this looks like a straight line, it definitely isn't. It's a line that was built on a lot of failure, a lot of fear, a lot of faith, and of course, a lot of fruit. And so as we take on the next stage of Pills, redefine is a word that we'll be focused on. A word that means the result or the outcome of an action, effort, or process, often implying something has been cultivated, grown, and brought forth through times of struggle or labor. And as you think of the times that we're in now, it is the time to redefine the value of vision, redefine the value of what you see, redefine the value of failure, redefine the value of people, of professionals, of pharmacists, and of course, to redefine what it means to not just be a leader of now, but the leader of generations. For generational leaders, redefining must become routine, not just for you, but for the people you lead. And for me, I'm excited to be the third and next leader of the Pharmacist Initiative Leaders, Pills. And here on out, we've been expanded from just one entity that Dr. Brian Saki started with myself, Dr. Ye, Dr. Josh, Martine, and our first independent board member, Dr. Awajodu Tony. We're now to be known as Pills Enterprises. We officially have a for-profit and a nonprofit arm. And by our year, next year, when we turn 10, we will have a third entity being a foundation. And so as I redefine and reintroduce you into Pills, I'd love for you to take a look at our refined and redefined vision for what we're trying to do. So what I want you to take away from this is we were established in 2016, and our mission remains the same. We're looking at closing gaps and ensuring that we're cultivating leadership pipelines, not just pharmacy pipelines, not just professional pipelines, but leadership pipelines. We're focused on curating catalytic platforms. You heard Duke today talking about being a catalyzer, someone who actually starts other things. We want to be known as producers, as innovators, as creators, people who are not just there to be there, but we're catalyzing new platforms. And lastly, we want to be known as creating pioneering pathways. And so pioneering by itself, creating by itself means new, but we want to be able to not just be the first, we want to not just be the last. We want to create pathways that people can continue to go through over and over again, through the playbooks we create, through the places that we're positioned. And we want to make sure that we're doing that for historically overlooked pharmacists in particular, but also people who are professionals, who are people, who are leaders. And we want to do that and propel them into positions of influence so that they can influence organizations and people to what they see. We're not stopping at how we got here, though. We know that we're going in a direction. And so our vision is not just for the next 5 years. It's not even for the next 10. We have a vision that by 2045, you see that word again, that we as an organization are collaborating, are partnering, and are leading the charge to redefine the value of pharmacists across health. And I want to be clear, that's the easy button. Across health and wealth ecosystems. I know we hear this over and over again about the opportunity to impact healthcare, but I've been blessed to also see some of those same gaps in leadership, those same gaps in innovation, those same gaps in non-traditional opportunities. And most importantly, those same gaps of getting to the next stage exist in the wealth creation ecosystems. And as we think about the opportunity to not just make more money, but to invest and innovate new ways of having economic mobility for the current generation, the generation before us, and the generations to come, we believe that by 2045, our ability to redefine the value of us in different places in healthcare will allow us to earn more, would allow us to raise more money in our entrepreneurship endeavors, would allow us to have more people invest in some of the things that we see due to our experiences, and close the gap between having access, which is the one in front of the X. We want to make sure there's access, but it's not enough to have access and not advance. So we want to close the gap between access and advancement and close that gap at every stage. So as we think of redefining what it means to be not just a pharmacist, but a professional, and not just a professional, but a person, and not just a person, but a leader, we imagine that by 2045, we will redefine that across and at every stage. And so the opportunities in front of us are to produce a pipeline of culturally competent healthcare professionals inside and outside of the communities that we serve. And when I talk about that, I'm blessed to be of Nigerian descent. And so that is my community. I'm also blessed to be from Houston, Texas. That is my community. I've now lived in Indianapolis for 10 years. That is my community. I've worked in the corporate environment. That's my community. I'm also blessed to be an investor. That's my community. And as you think of all of those things, of providing and producing a culturally competent healthcare professional inside and outside of that, I want to be clear that we have that opportunity to make that happen inside and outside of our communities. We had the opportunity to also invest in platforms that are specifically made for us as healthcare professionals, both as what already exists and what can exist. And then lastly, we have the ability to cultivate pathways for us. Cultivate is a very, very important word as we think about cultivating the next stage of pills. And so I know that we're close to time. And so I will leave you with this. As we think of the opportunity in front of us, we know that our pipeline today is our protege program. That's how we cultivate leaders. And it's not just about getting your first choice residency or fellowship. That's the fruit. We want to make sure we're cultivating leaders. As we think of our data and our impact metrics, we have people who have and who may not fit that mold leading, being chiefs, being leaders within the program. And we have people who might look like it does fit that mold in our traditional pathways in terms of getting the clinical practice and residencies. Again, that QR code, we've developed our own paid and private membership platform, the Pills Plus community, where we're providing professionals in charge better access, better opportunities, personally and professionally, and a unified connection. And then lastly, I'm excited to have not just my brother who has been with me since the beginning, but my wife, who we've just celebrated our 2-year marriage anniversary. She'll be so happy to say that, but 1-year wedding anniversary. We got legally married. She's seen me work since I was a co-founder. And I'm glad that she took it upon herself to join the executive leadership team. And as we have leaders who are both students and professionals at this time, and we look at our newly minted website that is now live, we know that we can help to redefine the look, the face, and the feel of leaders at every stage of health and wealth. And so with that, I close with a minute over, with making sure that you join us on our journey to help redefine the value of pharmacists. And I'm excited to be leading another week of events tomorrow in our Pills platform. If you get that QR code, myself and my wife will be sharing more about some of the programming that we do inside of that for people who are early career, emerging career, or experienced career professionals. Thursday, we have our 2026 proteges who will be putting on the Protege Pills Showcase. On Friday, we have some special guests that will be a part of our family affair, also within our Mighty platform. And we may decide to live stream it, but that'll be a game time decision. Again, thank you all for those that joined us for the 2 hours on our multiple platforms. Thank you for giving your time, your talents, your testimony, and hopefully your treasures to the cause. I'm looking forward to leading this charge of redefining the value of pharmacists and hopefully allowing you to be on our platform and showcase and share in the value of vision. Have a good night, all. Thank you.